at 5:47 a.m., another whistle was heard and Republic's engines were ordered to full reverse and the helm put hard to port.
Just at that moment, you would see the bow of the SS Florida come out of the fog, and there it is. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Recreating the Disasters, and today we're focusing on the RMS Republic. So yeah guys, let's get into the video. Alright, so here we have the Republic, and it's actually the Romantic, because the Republic doesn't exist in the game. But I will say the Romantic is a good substitute for the Republic because, well, they look sort of similar, minus a couple changes. But anyways, Jlkillen, do you want to give us a little bit of background as to what the Republic was?
Yeah, so the RMS Republic was a steam-powered ocean liner built in 1903 by Harland and Wolff in Belfast. She was known as the Millionaire Ship because of the number of wealthy Americans who traveled on her. She was the flagship of White Star Line's Boston service. The ship was originally built for the International Mercantile Marine's Dominion Line, which was a sister company to the White Star Line. The ship was named the Columbus and was launched on February 26, 1903, and made her maiden voyage in October of 1903 from Liverpool to Boston. After 2 voyages, Columbus, along with 3 other Dominion liners, were sold to the White Star Line for use on their new service between Liverpool and Boston. The Columbus was renamed to the Republic, the second ship under the White Star Line to hold the name. In November of 1904, she began the Mediterranean to New York service. This was to establish a market for cruising in the wealthy American sectors and tap into the massive Italian immigrant trade.
Alright, so thank you, Jlkillen, and we're not going to leave yet. We're going to wait a couple of hours, and then we're going to set sail, and then we'll talk about what actually happened to the Republic and why the ship sank. But for now, the Republic is sitting in a dock in New York City, waiting to depart. Now, since we're sitting here just waiting to depart, since it isn't the right time yet, what would be this ship's last or latest voyage, Jlkillen?
Yeah, so on January 23rd, 1909, she would sail from New York City to Gibraltar in the Mediterranean with 742 passengers and crew.
So yeah, a bit of a Mediterranean voyage from New York, so let's get going. I think it's about that time, and unfortunately, since we don't have control over the weather or the time, we can't really set it to the accurate sort of weather or time, which means we're sort of forced to deal with whatever the game throws at us. So, yeah, it did not depart during a thunderstorm, as far as I'm aware. Now, as we depart, we can see the wonderful skyline of New York City. So, there it is, and unfortunately, there is the SS Normandy, which, is not from this time period, but there it is, sort of keeling over in the port. And yes, we have made a video on that. If you'd like to check it out, it will be in the top right corner. Anyways, we are continuing on, and now we're sort of going to turn to the left, and we're going to continue in a northeasterly direction, and that will take us into the area where, unfortunately, the Republic would meet its fate. Now, as we're rounding the corner, we should see the Statue of Liberty. I think I do see it just over there. It's hard to see with the rain and the lightning and whatnot, but yeah, there it is, and we just collided with a yacht. So that is sort of, eerie because of what really happened to the Republic. But, I won't spoil anything yet, so, we'll continue on. Now, at this point, we are entering the shipping lane, and I think at this point, we would be entering fog, right, Jlkillen?
Yeah, so the Republic entered a thick fog off the island of Nantucket, Massachusetts. She would take precautions and maintain her speed, and the steamer regularly signaled by whistle to warn of her presence.
Now we can imagine that we're doing that. We're sort of making sure that, well, our presence is known, as Jlkillen mentioned. And unfortunately, there would be a liner looming in the distance, and eventually it would make its presence known, but it would be way too late to do anything. So, Jlkillen, do you want to get into that sort of incident as it occurred?
Yeah, at 5:47 a.m., another whistle was heard and Republic's engines were ordered to full reverse and the helm put hard to port.
Just at that moment, you would see the bow of the SS Florida come out of the fog, and there it is. It would slice right into the ship's side and just sort of aft of the funnel there on the port side, and the SS Republic would take massive damage from that, and I think some people died, right, from that collision?
Yeah, so unfortunately, 2 passengers asleep in their cabins on Republic were killed when Florida's bow sliced into her, and several others were severely injured on both ships, ultimately resulting in the death of 6 people overall.
Now, Jlkillen, what was the damage like to the Republic? what compartments were damaged, or, well, flooding, I should say, at this point?
Yeah, so the engine and boiler rooms on Republic began to flood and an orderly evacuation was put into action.
So yeah, the flooding was pretty devastating, but the Republic would actually make a world first, and what was that?
Yeah, the Republic was equipped with the new Marconi wireless telegraph system and became the first ship in history to issue a CQD distress signal. Luckily, the damaged SS Florida and the US cutter Gresham responded to the distress signal. However, with 900 Italian immigrants already on board, the SS Florida was left dangerously overloaded after acquiring the survivors from the Republic. The White Star Liner Baltic also responded to the CQD call, but due to the persistent fog, it was not until the evening that Baltic was able to locate the drifting Republic. Once there, the rescued passengers were transferred from the Gresham and Florida to the Baltic.
And yeah, I should remind you guys that there was still a pretty thick fog going on, so it would be difficult to even see the SS Florida there, and any other ships aiding in the rescue of the Republic, or rescue of Republic's passengers. At this point, Republic wasn't looking so good. There's actually photos of the Republic sinking, which I'll throw up a couple on screen.
Yeah, so the Republic's captain, Inman Sealby, and a skeleton crew remained on board the Republic to make an effort to save the ship. Crewmen from the Gresham tried using collision mats to slow or stop the flooding, but this failed. By this time, the steamers New York and Lucania had also arrived and waited while the futile attempt was made by Gresham to take Republic under tow.
Now there's also a photo of this moment as well. You can see the New York there, and you can see the Republic sort of sitting low in the water as it's taking on water and going down. And what's also interesting is you can find a photo of the SS Florida with its bow basically totally crumpled in, and it's sailing forward. You can see the water sort of breaking around the bow there as it moves forward pretty slowly.
Yeah, so on January 24th, which was the next day, the Republic sank stern first. She was the largest ship to have sunk until then. All the remaining crew were evacuated before she sank.
And at this point, this is what's going on. The ship is starting to go down. You can see it's taken on quite a bit of water. And obviously, this whole process would have been happening over the time after the collision. But I'm only doing it now because I can't get it to sink that slow. I can only get it to a certain speed, and that's it. Now the water is getting closer and closer to the deck. And once it actually gets up to the deck, that's pretty much it for a ship, because now you've got water pouring down through the superstructure, which isn't really meant to be watertight. I mean, on certain ships it is, but on other ships it isn't. So when water gets up to there, it sort of just flows down into the ship and brings it down faster. Now the water is starting to flood up to that next level, or well, the promenade deck, and most of the stern is gone now. Yeah, look at that. Now the bow has come clear of the water, the boat deck is gone, and this is it. The ship is plunging under. And now the bow is completely vertical, the sun is coming up, and it should hit bottom in just a moment. You can see the seabed isn't that far down, and I believe it may land upright. Let's see. Nope, it actually landed on its side. So Jlkillen, do you want to mention the gold that was on board the Republic when it sank?
Yeah, there were many reports that Republic was carrying gold and other valuables when she sank. One report is that the ship was carrying gold worth $250,000 in American gold coins to be used as payroll for the US Navy's Great White Fleet. Various sources reported on a much larger cargo, $3 million in US gold double eagles. Now this is in 1909 dollars. Today the value of the cargo could exceed $1 billion.
So yeah, that is it for the RMS Republic. If you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you all next time, guys. Goodbye.